I'm DC. I'm the host of Barside Jive, and in a few seconds, we're going to bring you another episode. Now, that would not even be possible without these guys. Rick Fairless,
hey y'all,
Strokers Dallas. Right now, we're standing in front of a row of Rick's personal bikes, and this ought to be your first stop when you come in the door, is check out the bikes, because this is truly where the machine meets art. And the result is badass.
How about if we take a tour of the place?
I think we should.
Okay, let's
All right,
go.
let's go. We are in the Stroker sales department. So come on down and buy a new bike. Right, Lena?
Yep.
That had to be pretty cool to play with Kiss. How did those guys treat you?
Well, we had a roadie that worked for us in the mid-'70s, Jolly Roger he's known as. He's in that Joan Jett movie, the big guy.
Oh, wow.
He's a legend in Chicago. He was our light man for a few years. And we had the first black T-shirts in America, like in 1975, and we had Cheap Trick printed on them in white, and people were just like digging the crap out of these things. But Jolly left us to do a Kiss tour. And he lasted about a month out there, and he got oil spotted one day. He missed the bus, and they left him in some town. So he came back, and he's like, the guys love your shirts, you know, they're freaking out. And we sent a couple to some other guy we knew, and suddenly, oh, we opened for Lou Reed. That was it. And we gave him to his crew, and suddenly our shirts were like showing up in weird places, you know. And this was like a year before we even had a record deal. You know, the name and the logo started appearing and stuff. So now what was the question?
How did Kiss
Kiss.
treat you?
This led to Kiss. We went and did our first album in September '77 in New York, and we cut basics for 2 weeks, and then it was time to do vocals. Well, the singer hasn't sang in 2 weeks, so we'll book a gig at Max's, and Robin can, sing his throat, get ready for vocal tracks.
Right.
So we went into Max's, and they're like, well, you want a couple other bands on the show with you? And we were like, no, we got enough original material. We'll do 3 sets of our own. And they were just like, whoa, baby. And they thought that was cool. And the guys from Kiss showed up, Paul and Gene. And Gene threw like a $20 bill on stage because Rick was walking the tables or something. Rick took it and stuck it on his forehead. And Rick acted like he ate it. And, of course, that freaked Gene out. After the show, he comes back and says, where's my money? Give me my money. You know, Gene. So we got along great, famously, Rick and Gene and Paul especially. So our first record comes out, you know, the next 6 months later, and we do this tour with the Kinks for about 1,000 people a night because they weren't doing much business. It was right before Sleepwalker took off. And we get back home, and the office calls, and they're like, yeah, this booking agency, now they want you to go out with Procol Harum. And we were like, Procol Harum? And they're like, yeah, 1 U.S. show and 3 Canada shows. That's your big album tour. And I was like, what? And Gene calls out of the blue and goes, your booking agency's no good. You should go, why don't you come out and open with us? Sign with our booking agency, and we'll show you the world. You guys are great. I think you guys are going to be huge. Stuff like that. So we left our booking agency and signed with Gene, the agency that booked Kiss, and they booked a coast-to-coast tour with us, and every night Gene would give us advice, whether we wanted it or not. You guys should do this, don't do this, this looks cool, why don't you get a better shirt, blah, 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 blah. All sorts of stuff. And Gene did this for other bands too. And
he's got a lot of business sense.
Yeah.
The guy's a marketing genius.
Well, there was nothing in it for Gene, really. on this thing. There was no back end for Gene. Gene wasn't going to make any money on us or anything like that. So he did this out of his musical goodness of his heart.
Wow, yeah.
You know, and stuff like that. And so yeah, Kiss introduced us to America, basically west of the Mississippi and all of Canada. People still come up to me, you know, the first gig I saw you guys at with Kiss, you know, back in '76 or '7 or '8 or whatever it was. And,
Right.
You know, and yeah, it was real good. It was an education for us.
Yeah.
You know, we learned how to go out there for 45 minutes with people out there giving us the finger and throwing shit at us, and how to try and win them over.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And I don't think we ever got an encore on the tour. But we knew that wasn't coming at the start of the tour, because Gene told us, he goes, you guys are going to get killed, you know.
Initially,
AC/DC was out with us last year, and they got killed. You ever hear of those guys? And I was like, yeah, we've heard of them, you know, and stuff. So, yeah, it was good. Gene did us good.
You have contact with him still?
Oh, we'd see him whenever we're in L.A., you know. Yeah, well, we had contact with him after we'd run. I remember we ran in with the record plant when we were mixing Budokan, and they're like, yeah, Peter didn't show up, so we got Anton Fig to come in and cut all the tracks for the Elder. You know, that last album, Peter's face, is on the cover. But and Gene called us in '79. He goes, look, we got a gig booked at the Superdome in Pontiac, and the show's tanking. We need you guys to open for us on the show. Can you do us a favor? And we went, yeah, sure, we'll do that, and probably help sell, you know, another 20,000 tickets or something for him. And 10 years later, he called us and goes, I need a favor. I got a label, Simmons Records. I got this band. Can you take these guys out with you guys for a tour? And I was like, yeah, okay, sure, no problem. And 10 years later, Gene called us and goes, I'm doing this Howard Stern movie or this thing, and we want to use Surrender or something. Detroit Rock City, that was the project. We want to use Surrender. Can you give us a deal? Can you give us a rate or something like that? You know, so yeah, you know, Gene's a businessman. He never hesitated to call and ask for a return on the favor at a later date.
Right.
And we were always happy to oblige him too, because you know Gene was a good guy, and Paul's a nice guy. Peter was a swinging drummer, just killer drummer. Ace was a stitch, good guitar player, and it was just a crack up to hang out with these guys, you know, and stuff. And you know, Ace, hey, you want to go fishing? Hey, man. And Peter, you know, like, I can't get any drugs up here. When I get some fucking drugs, I'm going home on these 2 days off. You know, and it was the '70s, you know, and we were all partying and stuff. So yeah,
right.
But it was cool.
You know, I know that you're a full-time drummer and you practice every day and you still perform and you're always thinking music. But when you're like away, if there is a time when you're away from music, what do you do that you enjoy?
I go to a movie every week these days, because in the fall, of course, they put out movies for people my age, you know, mindless adventure movies and cool movies and stuff like that. And you know, I'm a fisherman.
Okay.
Of course, if I'm not playing drums, I'm a drum collector, so I'm looking at drums or buying and selling. You know, if I'm traveling, which I don't travel too much these days, but if I am, you know, and there's a sushi bar or some cool-looking restaurant, that was always big entertainment on the road from the '90s on. Was let's go find some good food, you know, stuff like that.
Right.
I love to go see bands. I saw Chris Robinson Brotherhood last week, and they were just gobsmackingly great, just killer, you know. And so I go to maybe a half a dozen or a dozen shows a year of other bands and stuff like that. You know.
Now, I remember from the Hall of Fame, you had like 15 members of your family there. Was that right?
A bunch of the family came. My wife's the 10th of 10 kids, and I'm third of 6 kids, so we got nephews and nieces up to yazoo, and you know, bucket loads of relatives and stuff like that. And yeah, a bunch of them bought tickets and came and sat in the house and saw us and stuff like that.
Now, you have children?
Got no kids.
No kids?
No, but I
just
got
you and the wife?
Like 50 nieces and nephews, though. So
wow.
They dig Uncle Bunny. You know.
Yeah, well,
Some
I'm
of
sure.
them do. Yeah,
I'm sure. They still come watch your shows?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I thought my brother-in-law might be here last night, but he didn't make it. He was here. I had a couple brother and sister-in-laws here last time, and a nephew and stuff like that.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So pretty good sized family then.
Oh yeah, big time.
Absolutely. What is your wife's name?
Ellen.
Ellen. Hey, Ellen.
It was cool to see Mayall when I saw him back in the early '90s. You know, I knew John Brandt was playing in the opening act. It was a guy. It was a guy that had played guitar with Muddy Waters, John Dewish, and they had a little blues trio. And I sat in with them, and on the break, I got introduced to John Mayall and all that. And then when we were on the side of the stage, I said, "Yeah, is Buddy going to sit in with John Mayall?" And couple guys started laughing, and I said, "What's so funny about that?" I was like, "Buddy doesn't sit in with white blues guys in his club."
Yeah.
Basically, is how it goes.
Yeah.
There's no rule printed anywhere, but if you're a white blues band playing at Buddy Guy's Legends, don't look for Buddy Guy to hop up with you.
Right.
He hops up with the real blues guys, not with you guys, type
Yeah.
of thing. And
Yeah.
Mayall was good. He was real good.
Yeah,
I thought he was old then.
Yeah.
And here it is 25
Oh, yeah.
years later. The Beano album, that first Mayall album with Clapton that came out in America, that was mandatory in about late '67 or early '68 in Rockford here. Any guy in a band, if he didn't have that record, he really wasn't up to snuff.
Really?
Oh yeah. And
Yeah.
Huey had his little drum solo on What I Say and Stepping Out, and all this cool stuff on there. And I remember meeting Huey Flint a couple years later with a blues band in Germany. The guy Paul Jones from Manfred Mann was singing. They had a little group called a blues band, and I was like, Huey, I was a total germ, It's just like,
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
Oh yeah, really cool. But, yeah, Mayall, I like that guy.
Yeah, classy.
We did Walking on Sunset and Vacation. We did some Mayall stuff and Cheap Trick, before we put records out.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Did you guys ever meet Robert Plant or Jimmy Page?
Yeah, we opened for Robert Plant
John
in '88.
Bonham.
Never met Bonham. He was having a birthday party in '79 when we were in Birmingham, and I didn't go over to the house. I missed that one.
Yeah.
This female I was dating went over. She went over and went to the party, stuff like that, and he stuck his head in the room, so I kind of missed that one. Page, I've seen him go walking in the neighborhood, but never went up one. Said hello or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Plant, yeah, he was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
He came in the dressing room when Flame was number one and goes, "If I would have known this was number one, I would have had you guys out here." And he had a laugh at that, and we all had a laugh. And he came in. Then when "Don't Be Cruel" came out a few weeks later, he came in the dressing room again, and he gave us a little bit of a lecture about why did you guys don't have to put out a cover tune and all this kind of stuff. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, when you quit Led Zeppelin, you put out a whole EP of cover tunes. But Robert, he's a cool guy. He really,
Yeah.
his band was really cool, So
Yeah.
and open for him, I mean, it doesn't get much cooler than that. So that was really cool.
So you did open for Page and Plant?
Just for Plant in '88 when he on that the tour where he lectured us about selling out. And I said, "Yeah, you got a Coke commercial. How many millions did you get for that?" And I got the icy stare, kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh, I saw your Target commercial.
Oh, my Target ad.
That was cool.
That's fun.
That was really cool.
Me and Tori from the Donnas,
Yeah.
Tori Castellano.
Yeah. Yeah, those kind of gigs pay pretty well, don't they?
That gig paid pretty good. I got the call and I was like, "You're going to get this much dough if they want you for this thing." And then I got a call a day later and they want you, but they want 2 drummers, so now you're getting half that much dough.
Oh, man.
I was like, that's still a lot of dough.
Yeah.
And it took 2 days, and I got writing credit for that thing we played on there.
Oh, okay.
The Target theme or whatever we ended up calling it.
Yeah, that was cool, man.
That was a lot of fun. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
Get the best gifts at the Target 2-day sale. Friday and Saturday only.
Let's go!
Doors open Friday at 6 a.m.
People call you Bun. Some people call you Bunny. I know your given name is Brad.
Yeah, I was born Brad Carlson. Yeah.
So do you prefer Bun or Bun-E?
Well, the basic short story is when I was 4 or 5, someone gave me a Paul Bunyan book, and I got into that. So at home I was known as Bunyan for years.
Okay.
And then in high school, of course, these things start morphing, and people would call me Bun or Bunazuela or Bunifer and stuff like that. And then the band before Cheap Trick, Sick Man of Europe, was me, Rick, and Tom, and Stookie from the Naz. Tom started calling me Bunny. And I was like, then for Cheap Trick, I was like, hey, we got a Nielsen in the band, and we got a Peterson in the band. If we have a Carlson in the band, it's going to sound like the band of Swedes from Rockford, And we didn't want to be known as a Rockford band or a band that sounded like a bunch of Swede guys. So I said, I'll change my last name to Carlos, and I'll just be Bunny Carlos. I'll have a stage name like Ringo or someone, And so yeah, people, what do I call you, Bun or Bun-E or Bunny? Or in Japan, they would call me Bune because they didn't know the concept.
How to pronounce it.
They didn't know the concept of a middle initial. They thought my name was Bune.
Oh.
So you can hear on if you put on cans in Budokan, you can probably hear between songs, you know, Bune, Bune, and stuff. So some people call me Bune. You know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So what do you prefer?
Anything they want, basically. You know.
Does anyone still call you Brad, though?
My parents never even call me Brad. So
Really?
if someone calls me Brad, it's someone that probably knew me from grade school.
Okay.
So when people come up and call me Brad, I go, you don't really know me, do you? You know, or you wouldn't call me that. So it's no big deal. The checks all say Bunny. So that was the big crucial thing.
Bands, you guys have a ton of photographs out there that are just cool. You know, weird poses, crazy poses, doing different things. Was that your personality, or was someone directing you to pose that way?
Well, a lot of times someone was trying to get you to do something. You know, we were called Cheap Trick. The two rock guys, the two don't look like rock guys. So people were always, what should we do here? What angle should, you know, everyone had to have an angle or a premise or something. So, you know, some guy in Europe wrapped us all in tinfoil. We didn't like that a
Oh,
whole
wow. I
lot.
haven't seen that one.
Yeah, good. You know, people are always, do this, make this kind of face. You know, Annie Leibovitz for the cover of Rolling Stone, she's like, jump up and down. You ready? On 4, everybody jump. And we were kind of like, she can't come up with,
Really?
She can't think of something better than that, you know? And of course, that's what's on the cover, us jumping, you know? So,
Yeah. It was a cool shot.
You know, and when we went to do the In Color album photo, the cover photo, the guy starts shooting and we go, when's the color photo? And he goes, what do you mean? And we said, well, the name of the record's In Color. Oh yeah, that's right, isn't it? Yeah. Get some color film, you know, and these assistants go running out the door. I mean, so, you know, the doing photographs is a collaborative thing, and after 3 or 4 hours of standing there and do this, you know, you always get something pretty good. And we use good guys, like for Dream Police, we used Reed Miles. He did the Virginia Slims ads, this nice patina. You know, the guys for In Color were award-winning ad guys from NYC and stuff like that. So, yeah, we use good guys, and we learned right off the bat. You know, they kind of give you advice. You know, lick your lips so your chin relaxes. Keep your chin down. Do this, do that. You know, after 2 or 3 of those sessions, you start to start to do this. You start to figure this stuff out.
Right.
So, yeah, we ended up with some pretty good stuff. Plus, you know, Rick makes the best faces.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tom and Robin, it seems like if you took a picture of those guys, every picture of them
Looks the
always
same.
looked good.
Yeah.
They always look good. They were very picky about what got put out. I'd look at them and go, yeah, whatever you want to do is fine. I can live with this stuff, you know, as long as they don't have too many chins or something, you know. So they were always fine with me. It was probably Tom and Robin who were the pickiest. So yeah, if you like our photography, it's probably those two guys and whoever the label was picking to shoot us.
Yeah. It just looked like you guys were always having a blast. And I was wondering, when you were doing that, were you really having fun?
Well, it was an afternoon off, you know, from not having to go play or go to a radio station. So, and it usually wasn't a gig day. So, yeah, they were fun because it was a day off, you know. And
Yeah.
the only part that wouldn't be fun is getting there at 6 in the morning or something, you know,
Right.
which you had to do for videos and some photo shoots.
Right.
You kind of like, because you got to get up at 3 then, so you look awake, you know.
Right.
It was a chore sometime, but
Yeah. Well, it looked like you guys were having a blast.
well, you know, I got the best pile of photos at home, the scrapbook. I mean, yeah,
Oh, I
that's
bet.
what you end up with. You know, it's like I've got so many good photos of me, and you know, what do I do with them? I've seen me before, so yeah.
So do those photos that we, your fans, the audience thinks that, or you guys are having such a great time, was that reflective of behind the scenes, the experience you were having?
Often not. It's usually the guy, I'll laugh in that photo or smile in that photo or something like that. And there's a few photo shoots that have showed up, you know, someone would get the photos and they go, boy, you guys really look pissed off in this. And it'd be like, yeah, we were standing there for 4 hours and that pinhead didn't know what he was doing, you know, or something like that.
Yeah.
It was cold in there or something, you know, that kind of stuff. But we took pretty good pictures. We had good guys to start with in Rockford. We used an industrial photographer for band photos, like in '75 and stuff. A guy that took pictures of buildings. We thought he'll know how to frame everything real good.
Right.
We look like we look, so
Right.
we got to get ourselves looking right in this picture.
Was it a challenge to keep the band together for all those years?
Yeah, it was. You know, it was. our first manager, you know, he kind of ran the roost by divide and conquer, and the world's going to fall apart if we don't do this next batch of gigs. We're all going to be poor. We always got that kind of crap. We had a record label crawling up our ass all the time, telling us what to do and this kind of stuff. So, yeah, you know, you look back on it, a lot of it is, there was a lot of bullshit going on and stuff like that. And you know, if times got tight, we'd often turn inward, you know, and it was the four of us against the world type of thing. You know, we used to sit in the bus completely toasty, you know, after doing 10 in a row or something like that, you know, and sit there and go, yeah, we're the minstrels of the new millennium. Here we are bringing happiness and civilization to the hinterlands, you know. Here we are in buttfuck Iowa where they haven't heard anything new in 20 years, and we're trying to bring them something new, you know. So, yeah, you know, there was a bit of bonding going on with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you guys just grew up together, and you were together so long. I probably spent more time together as a band than you did with your family. You know,
oh, for sure.
So,
we spent a lot of time together, and the families didn't with our families. Yeah, you know, and you know, I saw Rick at the Yardbirds gig at the Roller Palace when I was 13, and the Stones gig when I was 14, and you know, me and Robin, I was in a band with him when he was still in high school, and Rick and Tom were in a band when they were in high school, and my band beat Rick's band when we were in high school, so we knew each other way before Cheap Trick too.
Right.
So we had a lot of, we went way back together. We had a lot of points of reference. So it was like, you know, if we're working on a tune, you know, we should do this more like that, and we'd all know what we're talking about. We didn't have to sit and explain things to each other. There was a lot of unspoken communication. We had a lot of musical connections prior to the band and stuff. So all that makes for a good band.
So how does it make you feel that the relationship's just not the same anymore? You guys are not even speaking, I guess.
Well, we don't really have much to say to each other. You know, we're still in business together and stuff like that. So, you know, we do have contact a lot of times through intermediaries. But, you know someone for 50 years, there's ups or downs. And if you look back on, you know, how do bands end? Well, money, women, drugs, the friendship ends. You know, we see a lot of bands on the road who have separate dressing rooms and guys that don't speak to each other. So you see how these things go. So you know, you accept it. I mean, this is how things go. You know, it's not the end of the world. That kind of stuff.
Do you ever see you guys being friends again?
I don't really see us being friends again. We're always friendly. You know, if some promoter came along and went, I'll give you guys this bucket of money to go do this, as the four original guys from Cheap Trick, I could see that happening again, because all four of us would go, there's a bucket of money someone wants to give us, or something like that.
We're friends.
You know, we'll be friendly enough to take that bucket of money home with us. And, you know, but I don't anticipate that happening. I don't really think I'll ever probably do a gig with Cheap Trick again, but I didn't think that last year at this time either, and then I did a gig with Cheap Trick this year, even if it was only 4 songs. You know?
Right.
So there you go.
Right.
You know? I mean,
you never know.
When Tom left the band, we weren't exactly, the three of us and him weren't exactly kissing each other goodbye, and 7 years later, there we were riding around on a bus together, you know,
right,
playing dumps and stuff. So yeah,
right,
you know, anything can happen.
Right. Driving to Mary's place yesterday, we were driving down Spring Creek and saw Rick Nielsen's Hall of Fame sign.
Rick Nielsen Parkway, or whatever they call it.
Yeah. So
you missed mine by about a half a block.
Where is yours?
It's on Parkview Avenue, which intersects Spring Creek down by the Rock River. And
okay.
It's Bunny Carlos Avenue. They had these big banners up coming into town. This town protected by the Dream Police, and there we all are, like in our Dream Police outfits. And the state of Illinois came in and went, too many signs in the street. We can't have this crap up here, and they took them down, and that didn't go over too good, you know, in town here. But yeah,
I was a young policeman, and Dream Police came out, and let me tell you, Evercop loved that album.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you know, you guys, from the photo on the cover, the back cover, the music. I mean, that was our album.
I think every policeman we met since about 1979 liked that record, and I used to have like 50 hats at home. You know, I still got stuff sitting around at home. You know, I walk in. This morning I went down the basement to check some other DEA, Gainesville, You know, I got cop hats, cop shirts,
Oh, yeah.
badges, tons of stuff like that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
We'd always invite a couple up if they wanted to come up on Dream Police and sing some backup. And one night in Madison, we had one come up on his motorcycle, and
Really?
stuff like that.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
Well, I would have traded you my badge off my uniform for one of your Dream Police badges back then. I mean, it was, that was the coolest.
Oh, those Dream Police badges. We had some on merch for about 6 months, and then they went away. I don't even have one anymore. But
Really? They were cool.
That Dream Police stuff is cool. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was a great concept, whoever came up with that.
Well, Rick had the song "The Dream Police" for years. There was a band in Sweden called the Dream Police he'd heard about in the late '60s, and we never found any recordings. I'm not even sure if they had any recordings, but he was always like, "That's a great title for a song." And then he wrote the song a couple years. He wrote it in '75 or '6, and it morphed. And then this got added, this got taken out. We cut it for the first record, but with a different verse and a different middle, and it sat back down again. Then around '78, at one of our rare rehearsals, we revived it again, and Rick reassembled it and turned it into what it was. It's actually from 2 songs we did.
Wow. I've got a cheap trick. It's not a concert tee, but I've had it for years. And it's that logo,
The 6 lines.
Yeah. Who came up with that?
Well, the Cheap Trick logo in '75, we had this like a neon sign, and it looked real crappy. And this guy came to a gig in Milwaukee. Christopher Crow. We have a winner.
Yeah.
Christopher Crow came to this gig in Milwaukee, and he goes, "My dad's got an ad agency. I do stuff." He goes, "I got an idea for a logo for you guys." And he brought the logo, and he goes, "I get these 6 lines here, 2 and 2 and 2." He goes, "You could use one of them or 2 or all of them together. It'll look kind of neat." And we immediately used all of them together.
Oh, wow.
And
okay, cool.
he later went on, he produced the Twilight Zone TV series in the early '90s and stuff like that.
Really?
Yeah, he's a producer out in LA and all that kind of stuff. So
Wow.
he was smart from the get-go.
I guess so.
Of course, he made us a good logo. We really like it.